Salam. I am Chote Bhai, a citizen of India. I believe that I am loyal to my country and I hope that my citizenship will not be brought into question. However, there are many things happening in and around us today in our country which many citizens are genuinely concerned about. I would like to share these concerns not in the form of a serious lecture, but through a small story, a parable, which would illustrate what we are going through today. This story is about a cauldron or a pot of milk. Now, milk is something nourishing which everybody enjoys. However, there are a lot of people in society who resent others enjoying things. So, in this society, in this milk which is being enjoyed, one person comes and says, it is not dignified for you. It is for us dignified people to enjoy this milk. You are below this standard to enjoy this milk. You shouldn't get it. There's another type of person who's very powerful and feels that he should have it all for himself. And he pushes people away and says, get out. This is meant for us people who are strong and powerful. And then there's a third type of person who feels, well, why should everybody else have this? I should take out some of this for myself, for my exclusive benefit. So he brings his own container and siphons off a quantity of that milk into his own container and gingerly walks off with it. But there's another person who is sinister, malicious, far beyond these others. And he surreptitiously and cunningly puts some poison or acid into that good milk. Now I ask you, what happens when you put acid into milk? It splits. And when it splits entirely, not partly. And the sad part of it is, once the milk splits, it cannot be restored to its original form. Scientists have been to the moon, to Mars, you have got nano and missile technology, but I certainly have not heard of any scientist or technology that can make split milk whole again. So certainly this is something that would concern us. Now what happens, you take the example of a child. A child needs milk and the child cries for milk. It will fling its arms and legs and cry out loudly if it is deprived of its milk. In Hindi there is a saying, जब तक बच्चा रोता नहीं है तब तक माँ उसे दूध नहीं पिलाती है. This is a reality of nature. Now what happens if the parent or the person concerned wants to deprive that child of milk or put it into a false sense of stupor? Such a person uses what is called a pacifier. You put the pacifier in the child's mouth. The child sucks thinking it is getting milk, but in fact it is getting nothing. And it will continue to cry. It will continue to fling its arms and legs around in panic, in desperation. Now again, if it is a parent, and there have been cases like this of parents smothering their children, actually preventing the noise from emerging. They think they have swept it under the carpet, but it doesn't happen like that. And we can't allow such a thing to happen. A child will die if it is deprived of milk, if it does not get air to breathe. So what do we do? Can we allow it to be like this? We have to change. We have to bring about change. There is no option before us. It is imperative for us to bring about change. We cannot allow such things to continue. Now, that is my story. I am sure by now you have already started to guess what it is all about. But to make it a little clearer, and so that we may remember it, I will put some words before you. And these are 10 words. And all these 10 words begin with the letter C. So it's easy to remember. Now what is this pot of milk that we were talking about? This pot of milk is what I call civil society. That is, our country, India, Bharat Mata, its constitutional guarantees, secularism, socialism, democracy, every citizen has a right to this. But there are some among us who do not want everybody to have this right. They want to deny these rights and privileges to some, and therefore we see this raising its ugly head. It is casteism, where some class of people want to prevent others from enjoying their constitutional benefits. There are others who try to use force by power to deprive others, and these are what we may call the criminal elements. Criminalization of society, where people use brute power to grab the benefits that it should accrue to others. And then there are those selfish ones thinking only for themselves, who siphon off what is meant for others and for the common good, and that is what we call corruption. This again is taking away from others what is their due. However, you will agree with me, I am sure, that all these things can be eradicated, can be tackled. You can find a solution to such things or minimize the damage that they cause. But the next actor in this drama is the dangerous one, very, very dangerous one, because of its irreversible effect. And that you will see and now agree with me, I am sure, is communalism, or the communalization of Indian society, where we make people fight against each other, where we divide people down the middle, where we become tu me, you and me, them and us. It's frightening. See, it takes years and years and generations to build up something. It doesn't take very long to destroy something, to demolish something. Like the milk, it doesn't take time. It takes a lot of time to produce that milk. So much effort goes into it. But to spoil that milk, it takes no time at all. Now, if society is divided, what happens? If it is deprived of that milk, of its constitutional rights, what does it devolve into? It devolves into conflict and chaos, fighting, and unfortunately, this conflict and chaos, like a child flinging its arms around in desperation, could also change into violence. And this is what we are seeing now happening in various protests across the country, which are turning violent. Violence is not a solution. Violence breeds more violence. But this is a reality. And sociologists teach us that violence is the option of those who have nothing to lose. That's why we see who are the people shot in these violence incidents. Always the poor people. Because they have nothing in any case. So what they have is their life, and that is also gone. It is sad, it is frightening. Can we allow this to happen? But there are those who have their vested interests, and they will say, don't talk about what is happening. Chop, keep shut. And what is the weapon that they use? Another C. See for yourself. It is censorship, where you shut down the internet, where you blanket the media. Say, don't report what is happening. You give guidelines to the media. Be careful what you are writing in your papers. Be careful what you are saying on TV. Because we are watching you. And if you don't behave, we will smother you. And this is how we will do it. We can use the CBI. We can use the ED, income tax, any other department of ours. We have it. We can control you. We can keep you subjected. You shall be an oppressed people. You will not have the freedom that you think you deserve. You don't deserve that freedom. Now, friends, what do we do? See, what I just described happened much earlier also in the time of Indira Gandhi. She also brought the emergency because she didn't like people to object to what she was doing. She brought what is called the Maintenance of Indian Internal Security Act, MISA, to prevent people, to arrest people. Thousands were put in jail, and they still resent and remember what she did at that time. But friends, we live in the land of the Mahatma Gandhi. And how did he face the oppression of the colonialists, of the imperialists, of the British? He did it through a most novel social experiment which we call civil disobedience. In Hindi, it is called Satyagraha, the struggle for truth. And Gandhiji struggled for truth through non-violent means. Remember the Dandi March, remember the Salt March. He had to suffer for it. Those who were with him also suffered. They were beaten by the police. They were put into jail, imprisoned, sometimes for several years. But that is the price that you pay for freedom. That is because eternal vigilance is the price of freedom. So all of us who love our country, we have to take part in this second freedom struggle. And there's a small twist to the tale. In this civil disobedience, there's another small thing which is also very powerful, and this is what I call comedy or cartoons. We use comedy, we use cartoons, we use art, poetry, street drama to give our message. I remember even when Nehru and Indira Gandhi were very powerful, but we had R.K. Lakshman in the Times of India, and he had that "you said it," the common man, and you said it. And that small cartoon, "you said it," said everything. Even Nehru and Indira Gandhi had to take note of what that small cartoon said. So dear friends, let us not give up hope. We can and should and must bring about change. So I will now recap this by saying that what are these 10 C's? These 10 C's are civil society, casteism, criminalization, corruption, communalization, which of course is like a cancer, another C, conflict and chaos, censorship, the CBI and control, but we have to fight it with civil disobedience and even with comedy and cartoons. Please share this message with others if you care for your country. Satyamev Jayati. Jai Hind.